Welcome back. Sports Talk here on the Atlantic Television Network, and this hour I have with me, Mike.
Yeah, good morning, and good morning to our viewers out there.
Well, let's get started. As usual, we'll start from the local scene, and it's elating for the President of Nigeria, President Bola Tinubu, because he has joined other basketball enthusiasts around the world to applaud the Tigers head coach, Rena Wekama, following her team's very loud
President is not left aside in these praises of a shower for Rena Wakama. I think for me, truly deserving. Taking a look at her exploit out there, going out there when nobody actually expected us to, go find the competition, getting to the quarterfinal, breaking records, and and setting up a new one, being that no African teams, male or female, have ever gotten to that kind of height in the history of Olympic Games before. Pitted up against some of the best teams, better ranked than us. We ranked 12 out of the 12 teams that took part, but then we were able to upstage the third-ranked team, talking about Australia, and even the fifth-ranked team of Canada as well. Well, we lost out to the eventual winner, USA. But then there is pride in what we did because we surmounted so many challenges and also, performed beyond expectations. So for me, truly deserving.
truly deserving for the commendations which is coming the way of basketball female coach Rene Wakama. She was just appointed about 13 months ago as coach of the Tigers. At the time when the morale of the team was very low, aftermath of the girls being disqualified from participating in the basketball World Cup, and but she came and of course did pick the pieces, talked to the girls, and brought some of them back. Most of them have said they can't so far qualify for the World Cup and only to be disqualified because of maladministration from the Nigerian Basketball Federation, not because they didn't qualify, but because of the altercation between the factions that were there at that time at the Nigerian Basketball Federation. But Rene Wakama was able to, pep up the team and got most of the girls back to the squad, and they entered into the Afro Basketball Championship. And do I say at the first asking, she won the African Basketball Championship, and as if that was not enough, she equally qualified Nigeria for the Olympic Games in Paris 2024. And it's like play, you think, yes, she has qualified. Nigeria was now drawn into a very difficult group where we had some of the best basketball playing nations. We had number 2, we have number 3, number 5. Like you mentioned, the Tigers ranked number 12, but she was not doubted. She went into the games and did qualify, into the quarterfinal stage, which we've never seen before. But who would have thought that the way she got the job, she had never had any experience as head coach of a basketball team. She only came in from the University of America as an assistant coach, for a team, and picking up the pieces, winning the Afro Basketball Championship. She did not just, enter into competition. She won it and qualified Nigeria for Olympic Games. And now she is a global brand in basketball.
Yeah, truly a global brand for basketball. Just like you said, before she was appointed, don't forget she had less than 2 months even to prepare for the Afro Basketball Championship. And taking a look at the short period of time she had to prepare for the Afro Basketball Championship where she was appointed, I mean, nobody gave us a chance. Also, in a very complicated situation, that some of our key players as well were not part of that squad then because of the leadership tussle that the federation had within themselves, and nobody at all gave us a chance out there. And Rena Wakama coming in a very late hour to salvage the situation, but then she was able to galvanize the girls around, talk to them, and they were able to also, put up such an impressive feat for her. And one thing you can't take away from her is about her man management. I mean, the player seems to be at home with her, and when you have this good relationship between players and coaches out there, they tend to give their best in the court or in the pitch of play out there, and that is what really helped Rena Wakama to achieve such massive feat. Going out there for the first time, winning the Afro Basketball Championship, qualifying us for the Olympic game, taking us to the quarterfinal. I mean, she's truly a global brand, one that we must also cherish and look up to, great things to come ahead. Because I tell you, with more support, she's even going to achieve more victory for us. So for me, we should treat her, with honor and dignity, looking at the massive feat that she has achieved for the country so far, because if we don't, we might just possibly, lose her because of the way we carry out our own administrative process here, that most time there's no consistency, there's no support for any of our, people that is doing us proud out there. So for me, for Rena Wakama, she's a global asset to us as it stands right now. We must treat her with care.
Nerema needs to be treated with care as it stands. You were talking to newsmen only a few hours ago. She's of the opinion that she did not intend to leave Nigeria any moment soon. She's in Nigeria. You talked about man management. I'm not surprised at her ability to man manage, because she's only 32 years of age. She's been a prominent member of the D Tigress. She played for the team herself before, going to management level or coaching level. So I think it wasn't surprising, because most of the girls are her friends and she knows them, and she was able to bring them back. It's unfortunate that the Kudmike sisters could not agree, but then I think she's done a lot to harmonizing the team, and that's the product you can see there. She's talked about huge investment into basketball generally here in Nigeria. It's not enough to win trophies. The important thing here now is you are now a global brand. You have to stay focused and stay, in the mix. She's talked about investing in grassroots development. If you're aware, all of the basketball players that were on showcase at the Olympic Games in Paris are all foreign-based. Yes, they are Nigerians, but they are Nigerians that are plying their trade outside of the country. She's talked about investment in basketball facilities, infrastructure, grassroots development, such good enough to harmonizing, the talents that are bound here in Nigeria and bringing them to the fore. Because these girls, most of them are between the age of 25 to 30 and 32, even 33. So they will not play forever. So you need to replace them. And it's not good enough to play up to the quarterfinal stage of the basketball league or basketball at the Olympic Games in 2024, and maybe you are not there in 2025 and 2028 because you do not have a replacement for the players you have, or you're just there and you don't maybe get to surpass the quarterfinal stage, which has happened in the past.
Yes, I think for me, I want to totally to her lines of opinion. I want to agree with her that massive investment in terms of the infrastructure, in terms of also trying to look deep into what we have in our own backyard, talking about grassroots, development of the sport itself, in terms of, administrative, positivity going forward. Because one of the major problems that we have is administrative lapses. It has haunted us for years, and we have refused to take correction and make amends. So for me, if we truly want to keep this trajectory of basketball development and growth here in the country, there is need for us to invest massively in the areas of infrastructure as well, in order to improve our cause of also maintaining that high standard that we've set, not just here in Africa, but the continent, I mean the world rather, taking a look at what the D Tigress did. So for me, there is no way you can develop, there is no way you will improve without investing massively on infrastructure. This is the way to go. And administrative lapses, you can't get it right when you are having issues here and there, when you cannot adequately manage the fund that comes to the purse of the basketball federation properly. And then again, we need to look at some of the things that we have been doing over the years that we are not getting results, and change narrative. Why not we think in a different pattern? Sometimes we used to have school sport competition? What happened to it? What happened to regional sport competition? What happened to annual sport competition where you can be able to bring all the locally based players? Create a platform for them, let them come and showcase their talent. If you are good enough, you'll be picking and you're allowed to pass through the rank, and that is the way you get to develop. But these days, nobody cares. What we care is about maybe you find your way to other yonder, maybe abroad, and you start doing something massive. This is when Nigeria will come for you. This is when we know that this is our own. It doesn't work that way. We must look inward and try to work our way from down to the top, and that is the only way we can be able to sustain the development of basketball going forward.
Basketball, this huge investment as echoed there by the basketball coach Rene Wakama, who has just come back from the Paris Olympic Games with a lot of accolades and of course honor for Nigeria. So it's not enough to pump in as much as 9 billion naira for the Olympic Games for Team Nigeria. 88 athletes and several officials were at the just concluded Olympic Games, and Sports Minister has informed that 9 billion naira was approved and allocated for the Olympic team. This is under scrutiny now. A lot of people are saying, why do you spend 9 billion naira for just about 2 weeks or so, and thereafter you don't get anything? 9 billion, no medal to show for it. It looks like a jamboree. If you put, we were talking about investment, if you put about this 9 billion into investing into infrastructure, into training of coaches and training of athletes and preparing for Olympic Games, it will result into medals. And rather than spending 9 billion naira in 2 weeks for the sports and yet do not have medals returned.
It's a disappointing one, and most especially looking at a time where we are having economic crunch here in the country. Our economy is having a nosedive. You expect us to use every fund that comes into the purse or the coffers of the country in more judiciously, other than making it look more like a jamboree or a waste of resources, because you can't actually cover such a heavy amount of money, 9 billion. That does not also include the 100 million naira also approved by the House of Representatives and other funds that comes in from maybe sport philanthropists, which we are not obliged of the information, but then we hear there are other stakeholders, sponsors, philanthropists as well, who also gave their own paltry donation. So in all, you want to aggregate all the money spent for this 2 weeks and 2 days of festivity, sport festivity, is even over that 9 billion just for 2 weeks and 2 days competition. If such money was properly utilized, investing it into the sport development generally, investing into the other areas of infrastructure, maybe swimming pool. We talked about a swimming pool and divers here in the country. We have about 5 states that are riverine region, but no standard swimming pool here. We talk about Cross River, Akwa Ibom, River State, Delta, Bayelsa, and name it. These are riverine regions, but unfortunately we don't have any standard swimming pool where we can be able to bring all our swimmers and say, okay, let us organize a mini competition because we have a standard swimming pool. This money should have been able to at least provide such standard swimming pool for us. If not for, then you look in other areas, then also put chunk of the money into coach training and retraining. Let them go over and get more experience. We are not doing that, but then we are spending so much, 2 weeks, coughing out such amount of money. If that money had been utilized earlier on in the right direction, I think we should be getting results. So for me, it's a really cause for worry, and investigation must be made to see how this money was spent, because most time we discover that there seems to be some sepulchre of thievery where the money is being channeled to, which for me is something that we need to also investigate. Thank God we have one man that is at the aim of affair. He came into the system, nobody believed in him. Looking at his background, talking about the Minister of Sport, Senator John Waneno, but then from his body language and his actions so far, it clearly shows that this is a man that is ready to move the nation's sport forward. Let's hope that he's going to constitute a commission of inquiry. Let's take a total appraisal of our performance at the Olympic Games. Then we'll find where seems to be the problem so that we can be able to correct it and start preparing ahead of the next Olympic Games. That is the way to go for me.
Well, let's keep our fingers crossed and hope that there will be proper investigation on how the money was spent and how it should be spent going forward. And it's terrible because it athletes spending, an official spending that amount of money and returning with no medals. Well, we had some African countries that spent far less with less number of athletes and contingent, returning with medals. You are aware about 10 African countries entered onto the medals table at the end of the Olympic Games without Nigeria being among the 10 African countries. And if you want to rank it, you wonder, sports-wise, Nigeria is not among the 10 best because the Olympic Games is the biggest sporting event in the world. And of course, when you make your mark there, it has a lot of recognition. So let's see, 88 athletes and no one amongst them could return with a medal. And one person amongst them who is very apologetic and pledging to come back stronger is Sebume. She finished 5th at the Paris Olympic Games. This is one lady who at the Tokyo Olympic Games returned back to Nigeria with a medal. But she is very, very sorry for what has happened and said she promises to return back with maybe a jump to a medal at the next Games.
Yeah, I think one of our shining lights, and when she qualified alongside 2 others in the long jump event, making it to the final, 3 of them were very happy and excited, thinking at least out of the 12 finalists, 3 were Nigerians, and we're hoping that at least 1 out of the 3 is going to at least win something. But then, unfortunately, they couldn't win anything. And she's coming out to also express her own disappointment, also promising to even do better come next season, even promising that this is going to be the last time that she's going to go to such a major championship without winning any laurels for us. So for me, I think we must also give her thumbs up because at least whenever it matters most, she delivers. But this time around, her effort just fell short of expectation. Let's hope that she can be able to pick up the pieces and prepare very well for next edition. Let's hope that she's going to get something positive.
Chonago and of course Ruth Soro was part of that contingent and of course in the long jump event, but that's what it is. We hope that they will come back stronger next time around. Nigerian athletes, at least they look remorseful from what has happened. They were expectant, but it turned out to be a woeful outing, no medal after giving a lot of promise and hope to Nigeria. But that's what it is. We just hope that administrators can come and build on this, because the Olympic Games is not about 3 weeks in Germany or any other country preparing. It takes at least, the least you can prepare for Olympic Games is 4 years. And I hope the athletes and officials will return back with a program in the next few days.
Yes, we hope so. After the disastrous outing, let's hope that they've been able to learn their lesson. Of course, this is not the first time, we're not winning, any medals in an Olympic game. But this one is very disastrous. Taking a look at the amount of money that was pumped in 2012 as well, could also recall that we did not win any medal. But you take a look at the money that was spent as then, it's not equivalent to what was budgeted for this year's edition. So for me, I hope they are going to look at some of the mistakes and show more remorseful for themselves and to Nigerians as a whole, because this is our taxpayers' money, and not just coming to the media to also romance our sensation, but then also taking a pragmatic step towards ensuring that those anomalies and mistakes were corrected. That is the only viable way to show remorse to Nigerians, not just coming to the media to say we are sorry and apologizing and all that.
While the physically challenged athletes are getting set for their own Olympics, which is the Paralympic Games, we would like to welcome back the able-bodied athletes without medal. Talking about the Paralympic Games getting underway in just about 10 days or so from now in the same Paris. Mike, we've had better medal return for the Paralympians than the able-bodied athletes. Is this going to continue at Paris 2024?
Yes, going by their past record, I have no doubt that this impressive ride is going to continue even this time around. Then again, they've also been aware that their able-bodied counterpart couldn't win any medals in this year's Olympic game, and I believe they want to also mount a very serious challenge to also at least tell their able-bodied counterpart that, look, we are better than you guys, we are doing pretty well than you guys. And of course, you check through the record, they are doing better than their able-bodied counterpart, having won a total of 80 medals, which is a contrast to what their able-bodied counterpart have won, 27 in all. So for me, I have no doubt that indeed they are going to continue in that impressive performance in the past.
And just performances at the Olympic Games since 1952 at Helsinki, over 77 years or thereabouts now, has resulted in only 27 medals for the able-bodied Olympians as compared to 77 more for the Paralympians. And that looks very, very good return, if you ask me. But something special about this year's Paralympic Games, we understand transgender athlete will be participating for the very first time in the history of the Paralympic Games, and she is Valentina Petrillo from Italy. This is, do I say, novelty or a new one for the Paralympic Games?
Yeah, it's a new one because this is the first time in the history that we are getting to see this kind of thing. But then,
transgender from male to female?
Yeah, I hope that the extant law actually accommodate this, and that is the only way it's going to be visible, because if it is not, then it's going to be against the rule. But I believe that it's within the rules of the game, and that is why she's been allowed to take part in this very one. But then, for me, it is very surprising.
Well, time for us to take a break now. When we return from the break, we'll look at some level of boxing. And apart from that, you are aware the European football season is just about getting underway in 48 hours or so. And we'll look at how prepared are some of the teams. Players' movement and coaches' movement are prevalent as we speak, because we still have just about a month or so after the conclusion of the transfer season. We'll look at what is prominent in the market and what is expected to come as well. In all of this, just sit back and we'll take a very short break. And when we return, we'll serve you with the details. Welcome back. It's Sports Talk here on Atlantic Television Network, and we're bringing you latest happening around the world of sport. Remember, we told you how President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has commended Rene Wakama in basketball for her feat, mentioned as the best female basketball coach at the just concluded Paris Olympic Games. And beyond that, we'll have to bring you some other stories now, apart from the Olympics. And the Ultimate Fight Championship is in focus because former middleweight champion Israel Adesanya, you know, the Nigerian New Zealander, has revealed that his bid to beating Dricus Plessis in the upcoming bout at the Ultimate Fight Championship 305 looks of little significance or for him than winning back his title. He had won this title in the past.
Yes, for Israel Adesanya, I think this fight has been on off the ring between him and his opponent, most especially when they get into the media. They always throw tantrums against each other, talking about who is more African than the other. And for Adesanya, you need to be very careful, because if you get to lose this one, then you may then jeopardize his even career the more. Looking at the way he lost to Strickland in his last fight, where he was actually dismantled, and it's over a year right now he has not fought a competitive fight. So coming out against a very strong opponent, you need to be very, very careful, because having not been active for the last 12 months right now, I think he will be much rusty. But then let's hope that he can be able to shake that off and put up a very strong show against his opponent, which is the South African. But then I think for Israel Adesanya, he is willing and hoping to bounce back to reckoning after losing his title of the UFC champion against Strickland. He needs to be very careful. I've actually taken a look at the match of his opponent, the South African. Is very, very good. So it's going to be more like a litmus test to his career as he be to come back to the limelight.
If you're a follower of the Ultimate Fight Championship 305 match, will take place in South Africa in just about 96 hours or so from now. And Israel Adesanya, definitely the man coming in from New Zealand. Of course, he's a Nigerian, but now nationalized as New Zealander. Will be going to South Africa on the 17th for that crucial bout. For him, he is of the opinion that his title is but let's hope that Israel Adesanya will do the best and try to reclaim back this title from the South African. But going out there to South Africa, it promises to be a very big fight, so to say. Meanwhile, talking about fight reminds me that former two-time world heavyweight champion Anthony Joshua is looking focused on his upcoming International Boxing Federation heavyweight title fight between him and Daniel Dubois at Wembley Stadium in the next a few weeks from now, September 21st to be specific.
Yes, for Anthony Joshua, his attempt to come back to to the limelight again continues. Of course, we've seen some impressive displays since he lost his title. They've taken up about 4 to 5 fights as well, so he's done well in his attempt to build back his confidence. But coming up against Daniel Dubois is going to be a very tough one for the IBF title, which he won some time ago, but then that was about 16 years ago. Also for me, it's going to be a tough challenge for him, but I think Antonio Lua Joshua has what it takes to be able to surmount the challenge of Daniel Dubois, who for me is not a pushover. So you can also cast your mind back in his fight against Jarrell, who he actually defeated before taking up Govic, who he also eventually defeated. These are two strong opponents that Daniel Dubois humbled on his way to this very point right now. So Joshua needs to trade with caution, because Daniel Dubois has a very good punching power and he knows how to move his feet very well, which are some of the tricks in the game that you need to be very wary of. He'll be hoping to at least take up either Alexander Usyk or Tyson Fury in the said rematch that is set to come up very soon as well. If he get to win this one, then he stands in a pole position to take up an undisputed fight between the winner of the rematch between Alexander Usyk and the Gypsy King himself. But then he need to cross this very hurdle first before he starts thinking about that fight. Like I said, Anthony Joshua, taking a look at his build-up to this point, he's been very good. So I'm rest assured that he's going to do the needful on the rings that day.
Anthony Joshua, looking at the undisputed heavyweight battle fight between him and maybe Fury or Alexander Usyk. That's his target, but you have to take it one after the other. He's done two matches already and victorious. This could be the third, and of course, prelude to that, I'd just say, elusive, undisputed heavyweight crown right now held by Alexander Usyk, the man from Ukraine, not getting ready yet to let it off, but he has to contend with Tyson Fury in yet another bout. That's it for boxing, and let's quickly go to tennis now. And ahead of the US Open, which gets underway in a few weeks from now, Alexei Popyrin from Australia has emerged as the very first Australian to win a Masters 1000 title, because he only a few hours ago won at the Canadian Open. Who did he take out? 6-2, 6-4. He was his Russian opponent, Mike. It looks like this is the return of favor for Australia. It's never happened to them before in the last 21 years, because the last time we saw an Australian win was Lleyton Hewitt, one of my favorite tennis players.
Yes, and that dated back in 1998, far back then. But then I think this is another statement of intent from Popyrin, and doing that in a magical fashion was a clinical display, a good finish from him. And if you take a look at the opponent that he actually faced before getting even to the final, you will say yes, truly deserving to be the
But who cares?
Yes, the likes of Hooker, the likes of Dmitry Grigov, the likes of Ben Shelton. These are top-ranked players that even rank way better than him, because he's ranked 30th, while some of these players I mentioned are ranked 7, 10, and 13. So for me, I think it was an impressive display. Taking this one home, making it count. Big leap for his career going forward, and it also comes with a heavy amount of money, which is also another source of motivation. So it's a big congratulations to him.
Popyrin, no doubt, almost over $1 million in his bank account as we speak, and that's good enough after winning the Masters 1000 title in tennis in Canada. US Open, like I said, is in view. A lot of these players are beginning to prepare. But again, when you win the Masters 1000 title, that's a lot of points you have amassed, and I hope you could be able to build on this. Let's now stay away from tennis and go to football and talk about football in this transfer season across. Here in Nigeria, preparation is in earnest for the beginning of the season 2024-2025, and the coaches and players are moving. One coach wants to get back to job, and he is something Siasia, of course, remember, was banned by FIFA for, some level of corruption or bribery. But now that ban is set to elapse at the end of this month. And Mighty Jets of Jos is interested in having him return to football as their head coach.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one for, Samson Siasia if he eventually landed this very job. Don't forget, he was banned for life, but then CAS, Court of Arbitration for Sport, actually waded in when he filed an appeal, and the ban for life was reduced. He's going to serve a 5-year ban, which is set to elapse this very month, and this is why Mighty Jet is looking up to getting his signature. And of course, is he a good coach? Yes. Taking a look at his track record, especially in the underage football, he's done well for himself. So for me, I believe it's going to be a great way for him to start after being away from the game for such a long time. And we hear he's eyeing the sum of 10 million naira as a monthly salary for take home. But let's hope that this one is going to see the light of the day, because nothing concrete yet. It's just a rumor until it is officially confirmed.
Well, the Mighty Jets of Jos negotiating with Samson Siasia for a job. He's asked for 10 million. Maybe there could be some compromise as they continue to negotiate. But the important thing is that Samson Siasia is expected to return back to headship of football after serving a 5-year ban for some kind of deals between him and some foreigners, in the past. But let's not dig into that. Let's hope that he will have learned his lessons and return back to top-level football. He's no doubt a coach that delights if you follow his pattern of play. Meanwhile, the technical advisor of Akwa United, Mohamed Bagaru, has revealed his plans for the upcoming season. Akwa United didn't have a particularly good season last time. Can they improve with a new coach, Baba Ganaru?
Yeah, I believe so. Baba Ganaru is a very known name, a very good coach here in the country. I think he's paid his dues, and I believe he's that man that is going to steady the ship of Akwa United. Taking a look at how they actually struggled, last season. In fact, they escaped relegation at as a dying minute of last season before they actually stayed afloat in the Nigeria Premier Football League. So they need a coach with such an experience to be able to steady the ship of Akwa United. Let's hope that Baba Ganaru is that coach will come to change things for Akwa United. Because for me, Akwa United is one of the biggest brand when you talk about the South region in terms of football. As it stands within the Akwa Cross region right now, I think it's only Akwa United that is still left out there representing them at the top flight. So I believe he has what it takes to tinker the team around.
Talking about Akwa United reminds me that one of the players, Kufre Ebong, has terminated his contract with the team and looking out to moving to yet another unnamed club side in the course of the season. It's players' movement time and coaches as well movement time. So let's hope that they will continue. Meanwhile, looking at continental teams for this year, Remo Stars is one of them. They are still struggling to confirm a stadium where they will play their matches.
Yeah, because of the fact that CAF just gave them that leeway to at least play the preliminary games at home, despite their stadium not meeting up to CAF standard. But then, at this point, it is very clear that
if they have to qualify for the second round, they definitely will not be playing out there in at the Remo Stadium in Ogun State.
Definitely, and that is why they are raising concern and eyebrow. But for me, there's no need for this because you have already been pre-informed of the processes that your stadium did not meet up to the requirement, but then you are allowed to play in the first preliminary stage. But when you get to the second round, you cannot play in your stadium. So by now, they should have been making an alternative stadium for themselves. So that is what they stand, and CAF is not ready to back down. And for me, this is the way to enforce or to force some clubs to start looking at their infrastructural development, because if the pitches are not good enough, then there's no need of playing there where you have some pitches with contours here and there. It doesn't allow a proper flow of the game, and for coverage it will also not show a very good picture either when we are watching it compared to our European counterparts. So for me, it's very simple. Clubs must learn to invest on their stadium.
Well, it's pathetic that most Nigerian clubs will not be playing their continental ties at home. Rangers International playing the CAF Champions League will be playing matches at the Godswill Akpabio Stadium. They are expected to host their counterparts from Comoro Island in the next few days from now at the Godswill Akpabio Stadium. So it's looking difficult. We have to upgrade our facilities to meet up with CAF standard. These standards are already, in the books. We just need to look at it and upgrade our facilities so that teams can play at home. It's always good to play before your own home fans and in the numbers than when you have to travel from your home to yet another ground which is not completely populated with the fans. So let's hope that Nigerian club sides will begin to upgrade their facilities, as they prepare alongside this season, because it's disturbing. Then it is beginning of the season across Europe, and the UEFA Super Cup is one match or one fixture that heralds the new season, the 2024-2025 season. How prepared Atalanta? Remember, they were part of the teams that shocked. They were a revelation of last season. They have a clash against Real Madrid ahead of the European season.
Yeah, I think they've been preparing massively, and we also have our own brother there talking about Ademola Lookman talking tough in the last 9 hours where he was being interviewed. He said clearly that they are still ready and ready to take on Madrid, the UEFA Champions League final. And
talking about the Super Cup, it is the holders of the UEFA Champions League that play against the holder of the UEFA Cup.
Yes, that is a tradition. And like I was saying, that he said that they are very ready for this very one. But then the big question, can they be able to contend the firepower of Real Madrid? Star-studded Real Madrid with the addition of Kylian Mbappe and Endrick. I mean, it's one of the fierce attack ever assembled by the Galacticos. The likes of Jude Bellingham, the likes of Kylian Mbappe, Vinicius Junior, Rodrigo. These are players that is coming up against the defense line of Atalanta. Do they have what it takes to absorb the pressure, coming on from the attack of Real Madrid? Still a question that we need to answer tomorrow, and we will wait to see that very one. But it promises to be a mouth-watering encounter.
Very mouth-watering encounter between the UEFA Champions League winner and the Europa League winner as well. Bayern Leverkusen, sorry, Atalanta as the Europa Cup winners, while we have Real Madrid as the UEFA Champions League winner. That is a heralding match to the European football season. Talking about European football season, one team that will be playing with an eye on the investigators is Manchester City. They are the they are the English Premier League side, but they have 115 charges against them, and these charges are beginning to rear up its head because we understand the investigation will start any moment soon, and the result of the investigation should be announced early next year. So, Manchester City, how ready would they be for the season with investigation over 115 charges?
I think they are ready for the upcoming season, but then these 15-count charges that is going to come, very soon, is going to also distract them a bit, because most of the players and even the management will be worried, not knowing their fate, because 115-count charges, man, that is huge. And the reason for the delay in the proceeding of the case boils down to the fact that they need to take a total thorough search and investigation before they could come up with any tangible evidence or a substantial evidence to nail Manchester City. And Manchester City, they are not oblivion of this very fact, and that is why they've deployed about 4 good lawyers who have been, and they are being paid $400,000 every week just to make sure that they keep themselves in track with this case. So for me, we are waiting to see what becomes of Manchester City when this case finally start officially.
Talking about Manchester City in the transfer season, they've lost one of their players, Julius Alvarez. He's now signed his deal with Atletico Madrid in Spain.
Good one for Alvarez. Great player, but playing second fiddle closely behind Erling Braut Haaland. I think for him, he think it's not good enough for such a good player that won almost everything in the world of football, playing second fiddle. A second choice striker to Manchester City. He said, no, I have to find my way through to another place so I will have regular football. And of course, it is a good business done by Manchester City and Atletico Madrid.
Talking about business of the transfer, we've seen that midfielder Carvalho from Liverpool is moving as well. What do you make of this movement from Liverpool to Brentford for midfielder Carvalho of Liverpool?
Great for Carvalho's development, because at Liverpool they have almost 4 or 3 good strikers, the likes of Cody Gakpo, Mohamed Salah, Darwin Núñez, Robert Diaz. These are great strikers that you don't actually expect the new coach and Slot to bench ahead of Carvalho. And for me, I think it's a good move for him.
Good move for him. And talking about Samuel, we understand he was on his way to Liverpool, to Chelsea. But that deal seemed to have suffered a defeat. That Nigerian player, Morodion, will no longer be going to Chelsea. Chelsea, not do I say, are they buying too many and not big?
They are buying too many, not big, but they are focusing on young talent. I think they only asked the very recognized player they have signed so far, I think is Pedro Neto. Exception of that, for Morodion deal collapsing, I think it's a big worry for both clubs, because they were trying to make that as a makeshift between Conor Gallagher heading to Atletico Madrid and Morodion coming over to Chelsea with a little amount of money added to that by Chelsea.
They have Pedro Neto from Wolves.
Yes. So for me, they've actually acquired 12 good players so far this season, spending close to £240-something million. So for me, I don't know what they want to build. As it stands, they have more than 50 players, 50 first-team players. But then I expect them to trim down their squad before the season officially kicked off.
Well, that looks like that's the much we will be taking for this edition of Sports Talk. We still have Sports Extra on there at 6 p.m. Nigerian time, where we'll bring you more of the movement of players and their coaches as well, and highlights. I'll just say some of the moments you didn't get to know about the Olympic Games that just got concluded, and what to expect from the Paralympic Games as well. So it's a loaded Sports Extraordinary that will come to you by 6 p.m. Nigerian time. Until then, remember, peace and unity are clearly pathways to progress. Always enjoy here on Atlantic Television Network.